Welcome to Paranormal or Reality. On today's video, we explore a haunting apartment as well as creepy encounter in the woods. Make sure to like and subscribe. Let's begin.
Being the logical, there is hardly any space for ghost stories. I, 27M, work as an operations manager for a multi-service company. I work on the 17th floor of a massive high-rise office building in the middle of town. Most days, I waste away with my spreadsheets and inventory passing the day in front of my computer. Other days, I actually visit my sites and talk to my staff. The building I'm in has staff of mine in it, but only 4 of them, so I rarely see them as they are generally on the other floors, hard at work. Only after 2 weeks of being with the company did I realise that 3 floors of the building have no tenants. Just 800 schemes of empty, dark rooms with thin walls and dark blue carpets. Each floor has 3 bathrooms, male, female and paraplegic, which we service only once a month if there are no tenants in the floors. All seemed normal until one day my elevator ride from my office floor to the ground was unintentionally stopped on one of the empty floors. I poked my head out of the elevator thinking there was someone getting on, only to notice we had stopped on floor 14, the uninhabited floor. My body went cold as I stared into the empty hallway, noticing nobody around. I crept back into the elevator and looked at the buttons to see if I accidentally pressed it. Nothing. The only floor glowing was the ground floor. Strange. I pressed the close doors button, but the elevator wouldn't close. I began to panic. I stepped out to the elevator and pressed the outside button, hoping another elevator would show up. I stood quiet for a moment and watched as the elevator I had just exited starting to close, and I was just not quick enough to grab the doors. There is, stood alone in the dark next to the empty office and the eerie sound with the wind blowing against the building. I bolted for the fire escape stairs when I heard it. The chilling sound of a bathroom stall door closing in the female toilets. I stopped for a moment and turned to face the bathroom. The door was slightly ajar and wind was blowing through it. I was immediately horrified. You see, the door is one of those hydraulic doors that close on its own. Someone had to be holding it open from the inside. I panicked and ran out the fire escape doors, down the stairs all the way to the ground. In a huff, I ran to security to go back up to the floor and check out the bathroom. The security thought I had gone mad as the floor was empty and just assumed someone from another office had come down for a more private bathroom break. We got to the floor and walked all around. Nobody in the women's bathroom, nobody in the men's. Who could it have been? I asked. Security said they would check the tapes and get back to me. What really creeped me out is that all the stall doors were locked. Maintenance hasn't unlocked them, as there are no tenants. A few days had passed and I had completely forgotten about the experience. Back to my normal programming of sitting behind a desk and focusing on the logical processes of my day-to-day. A late Friday afternoon, I get a knock on my door from 3 of the security, asking me to confirm my story from a couple days ago. I explained myself again and told them what I had seen, and they stared at each other in a rather weird manner. I asked them what was going on, and they explained to me the following. Nobody came to the floor. The security footage didn't catch anyone on the floor, not even me. I stood in silence. Sir, are you sure it was floor 14? I was certain of it. Each floor has a sign. They assured me they checked each floor to see where I had popped up, but nothing. Here's where it gets more intense. There are tapes of me walking out the elevator on the ground floor, normal and mundane. I asked the security to the footage myself, and that's when I saw it. On the top right corner of the camera facing the doors of the office on floor 14, the face of a woman. I know she's there, and she knows I exist. I have lost 17 kgs in the last 2 months as I no longer take the elevators. What drives 4 hospital doors to open simultaneously at exactly 3? 17 a.m. when no one is there? The answer might chill you to your bones. In 2003, security guard Thomas Miller documented a series of inexplicable events that would forever haunt the halls of Riverside Memorial Hospital. The facility, operational since 1988, was in its final days when the darkness began to manifest. Working the graveyard shift, Miller meticulously recorded every unusual occurrence in the abandoned building's pediatric ward. Former head nurse Sarah Jenkins confirms the ward's tragic history. Those last weeks were devastating. We lost 4 young patients in the span of a month, something that had never happened before in the hospital's history. The children's deaths marked the beginning of what staff would later describe as the shadow period. Security logs reveal an escalating pattern of unexplained activities. Motion sensors repeatedly triggered between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. despite the building being completely sealed. Environmental readings showed inexplicable temperature drops of 15 degrees during these events. The cold spots would appear suddenly, Miller noted in his reports. It felt like walking through a wall of ice. The investigation faced significant challenges. Electronic equipment frequently malfunctioned, and security cameras would mysteriously shut down during crucial moments. Dr. James Peterson, a paranormal investigator who later studied the case, found that electromagnetic readings in the pediatric ward were off the charts, far exceeding normal levels for a medical facility. But nothing could prepare Miller for what happened on that fateful night. His body, camera footage, now part of Paranormal Research archives, captured the most compelling evidence. At precisely 3:17 a.m., responding to yet another motion sensor alert, Miller witnessed all 4 rooms in the pediatric ward opening simultaneously. The footage shows clear views of empty corridors, no wind source, and all doors swinging open in perfect synchronization. "I've spent 20 years in security," Miller stated in his final report, "but nothing in my experience could explain what I saw." The incident occurred exactly 1 month after the last child's death in the ward. Temperature logs from that night showed the most dramatic drop ever recorded in the building, from 72 degrees to 57 degrees in less than a minute. Today, the hospital stands demolished, but questions remain. Peterson's research continues, focusing on the correlation between tragic events and paranormal activity. The timing, the temperature drops, the simultaneous door movements, these aren't coincidences, he explains. Something wanted to be noticed. Was this a final message from those who left too soon? Or is there a scientific explanation still waiting to be discovered? If you've experienced something similar in abandoned hospitals, share your story in the comments below. Remember, sometimes the most haunting truths are hidden in plain sight.